Welcome back to Let's Talk Business. My name is Maria Medina. I am your business and networking coach, and we're keeping it local today to Orange County. Please welcome my guest, Melissa. Melissa, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Melissa, and I am the owner of Your Inner Health Colon Hydrotherapy. We've been in business for over 15 years. I bought the business about 5 years ago from the previous business owner, and she had it for 13 years. So you can do the math. It's been over 15 years. And yeah, that's how I got into it. I had a lot of gut issues myself, and I pretty much got interviewed by the previous business owner while she was giving me a colonic, and I haven't stopped since.
And I know that a lot of people will know what colonics are, but some will not. Do you have a way to describe it, like in layman's terms? Like, what does it mean to go get a colonic?
So to get a colonic, basically it's a 40-minute session. I tell people to allow yourself an hour. We help to insert a tube through the rectum area, and then it's a series of fills and releases of water through the large intestine. We're trying to address the old waste that can get stuck on the sides of your colon. A lot of people don't realize that even if you poop every single day, you can have anywhere from 5 to 20 pounds of old waste in your gut any given time. So we even get people that are just wanting to better their health, some people that really do struggle with gut issues, some people that might have constipation, diarrhea, bloating, brain fog, fatigue. I've had a lot of people come out of a colonic and tell me that they're like, wow, I feel so much energy. I feel so much lighter. I feel so much better.
I love that. I wanted to make sure to include that because I always like to educate people, and some people don't know. And that's a fun fact for me too. Now, 4 to 5 pounds. That's insane.
5 to 20
walking
pounds.
around with that.
5 to 20.
Oh my
You can have
God.
anywhere from 5 to 20 pounds of old waste, even if you poop every single day. You should research Elvis Presley and John Wayne and research how much poop they had in their body when they died. That's my challenge.
That's a fun fact in itself. Okay, I bet people are gonna go and Google that. That's so interesting. All right, but let's get back to business.
Yes.
If you were to say, "Hey, this is my greatest success in business," what would you say that is?
I think the greatest success, honestly, is having a good team of people around me. And it's going to tie into another question you're going to ask me about my challenge, but finding good employees. And it's not easy, but really weeding through and not, what is the word? Not being content or not compromising, not just compromising on, oh, well, I'm desperate for an employee, I just have to hire somebody, but really finding good people. I think that is the biggest success, is having a good team of people around you. Because you could do this, anybody can do this, anybody can be trained to use a machine, but I always tell people I can't train people to have good bedside manner. So having that good team around me, I think, has been the biggest success.
So would you say getting good at finding the right people, right? Having that sort of intuition and knowing how to interview would be your biggest success?
Yes, but that also, I'm gonna have to tie this into my biggest challenge too. So I'm just
Yeah.
gonna tie it together
Do it.
because I feel like that was my biggest challenge as well. Is there was a point that I was kind of desperate in hiring, and with that I kind of looked over a few red flags, and through that challenge I've had to work through a lot of my own people pleasing. And I always tell people empathy is a strength and a weakness, and I was very empathetic with people that would just kind of keep walking all over me, and I had to get to a point where, like, my biggest challenge is having to let go of employees, even though they may seem like they're performing well. If they're creating bad energy in your clinic and they're creating bad energy around your people, then they're not worth having there. And so I think that's also my biggest success. The biggest challenge in itself is employment, because you do have to be able to read people's energy. You do have to really look out for red flags. And then my biggest challenge, again, tied into that, is having to let go of people that I thought were good, but I maybe didn't catch some of the red flags in the beginning.
From conversations that I've been having this week alone, I know a lot of people are going to relate to exactly what you're talking about. And I personally could relate from past experience. When I owned my print shop, that was actually one of the things that they taught in the franchise was the moment that you feel like firing somebody, just do it. They were like, don't even waste your time. Like, trust your gut. Like, your gut is going to tell you. And I love that it's a gut thing. But your gut is going to tell you when somebody's not right for your team, and don't let them ruin the vibe of everybody else around, because they're going to bring the whole team down.
Yes, 100%. 100%. I agree with
Yeah,
that.
so that was one of the things that they taught us, and it wasn't easy because you get to know these people, you get to know their stories. You're in a small business, so you're in proximity with them all the time. You're learning about them personally, and maybe you like them, maybe they're really nice, but they're just sucky team members, or they're sucky employees, and you can't. There's nothing you can do about that. So it's great that you tied it in. That's awesome because it can be your greatest success finding the right people, and then
The
find
greatest
a way
challenge
to find the right
is,
people.
and
Yeah.
I think that's the thing, is that for me, a big thing in my journey is I am such a people pleaser. Like, one of my things I love is being with people. And I think that's why I love what I do, is I love being one-on-one with clients. I love connecting with people. And I know that I have to have a team so that more people can connect with people, right? And so it's so hard when you're a people pleaser and you're so empathetic and you just want the best for everybody. It's really easy to allow people to keep walking over you and walking over you. And I feel like universe, whatever you want to call it, had to teach me a couple different times. So I finally got, okay, you have to stop doing this, and you really have to put your foot down and be like, no, like, this behavior is not acceptable.
It's like that saying that you have to tell somebody something 3 to 5 times for them to actually listen to what you're saying,
Yep.
right?
And it's like the worst when you're going through the lesson again, because you're like, oh, I thought I learned this already.
And sometimes it takes somebody else telling you again, right? Like you've gone
Yep.
through a lesson, you go through a lesson, let me go and share this experience, and then somebody shares theirs or like gives you feedback, and you're like, it's like, why couldn't I do it before? But that's
Yes.
that's what it takes sometimes. So a little bit from stemming from that vein, what do you wish you knew before you started your business? And whenever I ask this question, I always tell people everything, right? It's like, I know we wish we could have known everything, but if it was that one thing that you're like, I wish I would have known this before I started my business, so I didn't have to struggle for that bit, what would that be?
It's challenging to answer that, because I feel like part of it, really going with your gut, is like, I mean, I knew that, but I really wish I would have listened more to that. Like when things would happen, I really wish that, the previous business owner, she told me, she said, if you feel something, you really have to go with your gut. Like, if there's any intuition that you have, listen to that intuition. And I feel like I did part of that, but I think when I first started my business, I was so excited because I'm like, okay, this is new. I need to grow this. So I'm going to give an example. Okay. I had this guy, he came in, he got a colonic, and he heard that I'm a new time business owner, and he starts telling me about how he builds these websites and that he can grow my business and all this stuff. And deep down in my gut, I was kind of like, oh, I don't know, maybe I should look more into this. But he was so hyper that, like, I'm like, oh, well, maybe I'll meet with him. So I met with him. He told me all about how he could make me successful. This is how much money you would need to pay me. We could do part and trade of colonics. And so I kind of went for it. Well, within like 2 months, I went from being pretty like averagely busy to only having like 10 to 15 clients on the schedule. And I was asking him, and it was the end of COVID time, but I was like, hey, like, what's going on? Like, you told me that my schedule was going to be filling up, and I feel like there's nothing on the schedule. And he's like, oh, well, I'm just going to have to humble myself and say, I don't know. I'm like, you don't know? Like, you literally just told me you were going to fill my books up, and you're saying you don't know. And I was like, I literally just had another client call me and say, hey, somebody overbooked their clinic. Do you have a last minute opening? And I'm like, why? If it's so slow, and you're telling me it's because of COVID, why is this person calling me up? So all of that to be said, just going with your gut and really doing research before you jump into things, and not when you first start, I feel like you're so excited and you want to do all these things. And so you just go to the first thing that comes in front of you. But I think really doing my due diligence and actually researching and taking time and not getting so hyped up about things, but being like, okay, like, I'll take this into consideration, but I'm not just going to go with it just because you're telling me this is what's going to happen. Because then I ended up losing so much money because I had to hire another website guy, and I thought I was saving money, but I had to hire another website guy just to fix this guy's mistakes. So,
And sometimes you need to let your gut simmer. And I feel like a lot of people feel like they have to give an immediate answer, and you don't.
mhm.
You are allowed to take the space and say, you know what, I hadn't thought about that. Give me some time to go and think about it so that I can really listen to myself and not be influenced by your energy and what you're saying. I want to really think about what I feel about it, right? Because
Yeah.
as much it's like that saying where your emergency for like your emergency does not constitute an emergency for me, because
Mhm.
sometimes we get carried away with other people's feelings, and it can be the same when somebody's like really excited about theirs. But
Yeah.
it's okay to ask for that permission and step back and say, okay, give me a minute, let me
To
see
think
how I
about
actually
this.
feel about
Yeah,
this.
I agree.
So when we're growing a business, often we have to, you know, do professional development, go learn stuff, figure out stuff for ourselves, ask for mentorship. If you were to share a resource with a new business owner that helped you personally or you know has helped other people, what would that be? Whether it's personal, taking care of themselves, or taking care of their business.
Well, just recently, I just started doing. I'm not much of a personality test. This just popped in my head. Actually, I just started going to a leadership course, and I'm not much of a test taker. But I was like, I'm just going to do this because I want to figure out more about myself. And there's two different ones. There's a third one, but I can't remember the name of it. So I'm just going to share the two I remember. There's one that's called Working Genius, and it's all about your working type, and it's all about how do you function and how do you work and how do you work in your working genius? I'm not going to explain everything because there's 6 different working geniuses, but it really helps you to understand how to work more in the areas that you're good at and to delegate more the areas that maybe you're not so good at. Because we can all work in all 6 of the working geniuses, but for us to be successful, we have to recognize, okay, these are actually my strengths. These are my weaknesses. How do I incorporate other people's strengths so that we can kind of fill those gaps? And then the other one is, I think it's called Enneagram. I might be saying it wrong, but again, it's a personality test and just kind of getting to know your own type and your own personality. Because again, when you do that, you're going to be able to be more successful because you can understand yourself better. And these are things that I actually soon am going to implement with my team because I want to know more about their strengths and weaknesses so that we can work better together as a team.
I like that you mentioned the personality test because I actually just had a client when we were talking about hiring. And she says, you know, I struggle with hiring. We were talking about that before. And I sometimes I get these rock star hires. They're amazing. They do excellent jobs. And then other times I just get like womp womps, like these people that I think are going to be great and then they don't perform. And I said to her, I said, have you done personality tests on your awesome people, your rock stars? And then when you're onboarding, you're hiring, you can use them as a model and make the people that are applying use the same personality test so that they can get to the next level. And
Mm.
we're having that conversation as a way to help her gauge, hey, is this actually, you know, the person that's presenting there, are they actually going to present as well when the time comes to perform? And personality tests are great when it comes to teams, figuring out how you operate and understanding that there are limitations to tests. I always tell people there's limitations because it's
Yeah.
as much as you know for yourself, right? It's you're answering for yourself for the person that you think you are. So obviously, the more honest you are with the questions, the better and the more accurate the results are going to be.
Yeah.
But they're a great guideline to help you figure out. I had another client where, you know, she was stuck with this, oh, I have to work 9 to 5, 9 to 5. And I said, yeah, but you're like amazing in the hours of like 3 to 7. Like, why are you working 9 to 5? Do 11 to 7. And just giving permission to understand that's when I work better and I
Yep.
don't have to stick to these rules that we've made up.
Yep.
Is so eye-opening for my clients. Well, I always like to end these with a fun fact. So if there was a fun fact you could share about yourself with our audience, what would that be?
Fun fact. I am married to a man who is from a very small village in India, and we dated long distance for 3.5 years. We only saw each other once a year, and our schedules were completely opposite. So when we would not even when we would Skype each other, my morning would be his night, and his night would be my morning, and somehow we made it work.
I love that. That's so cool. I didn't know that about you. And how long have you been together?
We've been together now over, oh my gosh, I think this year is 11 years that we've been together now. Yeah, so we met in India. I was traveling doing music. He was doing the sound at a music event. And when I say in a remote village, it takes over a day to get there. You have to take a 10-hour flight to China, then you have to take a 5-hour flight to India, then another 3-hour flight to his state. The closest airport is 3.5 to 4-hour drive. So it's literally like I never thought I was going to be back there ever again in my life. And we met that night. I thought he was cute, but I'm like, I'm never going to see this guy ever again in my life. And he ended up contacting me a year later, and then we just kept talking. So
I love that. That's so awesome. Well, if anybody wants to reconnect with you, find out more information about your services or yourself, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
the best way would be either through our Instagram or through our phone number. So our Instagram is your_inner_health. You can message me there, or you can go ahead and text or call me at 949-645-1030.
Excellent. Thank you so much for being a guest today. And I really appreciate your time. I'll make sure to share all that information. And if any of you would like to be featured on Let's Talk Business, make sure that you hear the apply button down there. And I hope to see you in an upcoming event. Make sure that you watch all past events, and I'll see you next time.